First item of domestic policy I've called budgets. I mean really anything covered by the Treasury and certain things about government style generally. First is that we have a huge national debt which has ballooned in recent years. It's something of the order of £900 billion, but it depends what you include, you see. Do you include unfunded public sector pensions? Do you include debts, future payments for private finance initiatives, other things like that, you see? And so it's basically we owe a great deal. And we have a public sector net borrowing requirement, public sector net debt I think it's called. Last year was £143 billion we had to borrow to keep the government running. And if you do a few sums on that, I looked up the number of households, and it works out that the government is funding, the government is borrowing from moneylenders to the extent of £100 for every household per week. If I had to find another £100 a week to run my household, that would hurt. But we are expecting the government to borrow £100 per household per week to keep us just ticking over. And it's not sustainable. We've got to do something different. And really, why should we have a national debt? I think we should live within our means. I don't know, but paying that huge sum back is a bit daunting. But at any rate, surely we shouldn't be running up a national debt. Surely the government does have an income, the tax income, and we should live within that and use that to pay for what we need to do together, and not ask the government to do more, and be prepared to vote in people who are prepared to live within our means, even if we don't get some of the things that we would like to get. The big question is about what we spend it on. A huge amount is on benefits, and so some of that's very expensive. Next thing is the tax regime. The simpler we can keep the tax regime, the more people will understand it, sympathise with it, and be in favour of it, recognising that and if they respect what the government is spending it on and appreciate, if we feel we're all in it together and we agree with how the tax is spent and see how it's worked out. It's always going to be pretty complicated, but it's got very, very much more complicated apparently. And I don't think that's good, and I think we should reverse that. And rather like that, the simpler laws we have, the better in my view. And we have lots and lots of laws, and lots of things have been made criminal offence, which I don't think is a happy situation really. And particularly I think we should avoid having a knee-jerk reaction of something wrong happening, getting a lot of press coverage, media coverage, and then the government feels it has to bring in more regulations and so on, and the whole thing clogs up. Let's try to restrain ourselves as a society from being happy to see more and more laws multiply. And then the other thing is, as I mentioned in a previous video, if we haven't got very much money, small government isn't necessarily the right way to go. I mean, if we need to do some particular activity, it doesn't necessarily mean, if we've got not got much money, that it's cheaper to get private commerce to do it. It sort of sounds cheaper to start off with, but if it's something we've got to do, we've got to pay for it somehow, and it may be cheaper actually to do it in-house. In other words, society, government doing it, even if that, even if we do have to pay for that in our taxes, and it may be. I'm thinking, for instance, of the care of the elderly. It's something that's got to be done, and Just the question is who pays for it. Either we pay a lot of commercial companies to do it, or we do it in house. I would like to see the pendulum swing back towards seeing that it's a satisfactory way forward if people are prepared to work for the government, for the public service, and do so diligently, to have things done in-house by public service. Another crucial thing is the reform of the money system, which I've spelt out in a video entitled Banks. And another thing is procurement. I think there needs to be an increase of the cleverness of how the government pays for things to be done, like building a school or building a hospital or something like that. And we seem to not get terribly good value for that. And there's a separate item about private finance initiative, but part of the reason given for that is because otherwise, unless we do it by private finance, too many contracts go beyond time scale and beyond, they're late instead of being on time, and they're over budget instead of being on budget. Well, surely this is something that we should be able to brush up on and get our procurement practices more watertight, so that people do actually work. And then we have to be good workers. If you employ a British company, let's let's have it be the common experience that we don't have lots of delays and things like that. Thanks very much.